What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is NFP Friday. And I hope no one blew their accounts this morning, right? So we have a special guest on today. We have a trader psychology coach, Rodrigo. He has worked with many traders, including Jade Cap. He works with them one-on-one to work on their psychology. And earlier this week, I sent out a Google form to you guys asking you, like, what are your questions for him? And also I asked, like, what's your biggest problem in trading? So we're just going to get right into it. Here's Rodrigo.
Hey, Tanya.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So,
well, thanks for bringing me on.
Yeah.
I wanted to come in here and actually tell you guys an interesting fact about the statistics and the likelihood of succeeding in trading. Like, did you actually know that only 6% of traders are able to get funded? And out of those 6%, only 5% actually get to a payout.
Wow, that's a crazy statistic.
It is. And I hope today with the questions yeah, it's crazy. And I hope today that we can dive into why that statistic is so extreme, but also how to avoid it. Because obviously there are some very common patterns and common impulsive behaviors and emotions that happen. So yeah, you guys, you sent out a form with some questions, and I thought it would be a good idea to answer some of those questions.
Yeah, we'll just like dive right into it. Also, like, yeah, you said 5% out of the 6%. Wow, I definitely heard the statistic that only out of like all the traders, like only 0.1% go to a payout, which is an insane statistic. So yeah, so we're gonna just go into the first theme, which is FOMO, that people really have a lot of issues with, fear of missing out or chasing price. So someone asked, when they miss a limit entry, they get FOMO and chase price. How do they get over this?
Right. So the best way to actually understand FOMO is just it's based on fear, right? And so if we understand what we're fearing, then you can begin to understand what triggers that fear. So for example, a lot of traders, they start investing money that they can't really afford to lose. So or the funded account that they invest in is quite a significant amount for them. So it's important to understand what that fear is, where it comes from, and when you understand that, then you can start to create a plan. So the best thing to do would be to create a plan pre-trade. So you want to have a predefined plan before you actually take a trade. And this plan includes what decisions you need to make based on your edge, which should be data driven. And you also need to have a pause, a reset just before you make those decisions. So let's say like today we got NFP, some people might be trading it. You want to make sure that your plan and your direction, your entry model, everything is set, how much you're going to risk, your platforms are already, but then you want to take about a few minutes to just practice some mindfulness, practice how you feel. Do some box breathing if you're feeling a bit anxious, a bit nervous, because this lets your nerves calm down a bit. And when you're ready to go, that's when you look at the price action, you look at your plan, you feel good. That's when you take action. So you can avoid FOMO just by reminding yourself of your pre-plan, or you could even have your playbook next to you in some of your best trades, an example of that plan being followed. So that's how I would say it's a good way to tackle FOMO.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Like people really underestimate the power of like breathing, honestly. There's like a whole book on it called Breath, I think. Okay, great. Next question. Said, easiest way to walk away on a red day.
Right. Now, this is all about detachment, okay? And this is something that traders need to master. Now, whenever I work with a trader, I always like to understand, okay, where are they attached? Where is their attention going? And it's usually on the P&L. It's usually on whether it's a green day or a red day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to get attached to the correct thing, not the incorrect thing. So you want to get attached to the process rather than the outcome, because this allows you to practice that and master the art of detachment. So, like I was saying before, when you have a plan in front of you, then that's what you should attach yourself. This is my plan, and these are the decisions that I need to make today in order to complete my plan. And
Mm-hmm.
as long as you stick to that process, then that allows you to accept and remind yourself, okay, I'm no matter what the outcome is, as long as I follow my rules, I've done my job. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really important to reframe what this red day is. Yeah, important to reframe it, because if it's framed as in red day is a negative, then instead of saying that, you should reframe it and say, as long as I follow my process today, red or green day
Mm-hmm.
or break even day, today is a successful day. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
about reframing what we believe is a success. That's the best way to walk away from a red day. And of course, like
Right.
I've had clients that they can't let go of the mouse, right? They just can't. They can't. They have to, and the only way for them to let go of that is to be reminded. So,
That's
uh,
so funny because I
yeah.
I really say hands off the mouse to myself if I
Mm,
get too caught up into something. And it's
hmm.
true, you can have your death grip on that mouse.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes just having some sort of practice where you let go of the mouse if you hear an alarm, like if there's a certain alarm, you can have a
Mm-hmm.
time-based alarm or a price-based alarm, and at that point you walk away. So whenever, for example, if price hits TP1 and that's usually your signal to move to break even,
Mm-hmm.
you should have a little message there say, let go of the mouse, because that's it. You've done your job. You've got your
Mm-hmm.
partial, you've got your exits. You've reduced the risk. There's nothing else to do. So that's a good way to detach from the outcome, because you've already followed the process.
Okay. I think that's a really good way to put it. Someone asked, I find consistency when I trade less, but sometimes I find it hard to follow my rules. How can I fix my discipline?
Okay, now it's the question is really about consistency and discipline. Now, when it comes to building consistency and discipline, you want to start thinking about what habits you have in your day to day. And one thing you want to do is you want to understand what a good day looks like. And you want to write it out, you want to plan it out, and then you want to act it out. Okay? Because then you understand what an A plus day is. Just like we're looking for an A plus setup, what is an A
Mm-hmm.
plus day? Because
Mm-hmm.
the P&L, the outcome, the money, the payout, this is the byproduct of um, the following the process. So
Mm-hmm.
what we want to do is we want to focus on the decisions that need to be made in order to get that result. So one thing I would recommend is maintaining a decision log. So once you've planned out your A plus day, when you're actually completing that A plus day, which is your routine, your rules, your decisions, just have a notepad next to you, and every decision that you make for a week, write it down. So when price hits this level,
Mm-hmm.
this is the decision that I'm going to make,
Mm-hmm.
etc., etc. Because when you start doing this, you can begin to, it adds a little bit of accountability. And this usually works if you don't have a coach. Now, I've worked with some clients, and I get them to message us on Discord whilst they're actively trading. Okay, right now, this is what I'm thinking. If this happens, then I'm going to do this. And if that
Mm-hmm.
happens, then I do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're there with them, making sure that they're logging all of these decisions. And then at the end of the session, we review all of the
Mhm.
decisions based on price action, based on their feelings and emotions. And this provides so much insight and data on how the trader thinks. I had one client who, what I did is that I got him to record his entire session for a week, uh, both like we're speaking now, microphone, webcam, everything, and he had to speak to the webcam the whole time, to the camera. After that weekend, on that weekend, he had to review all of the footage, and I reviewed it with him. And
Mhm.
what we noticed was some patterns in his language, even his body language. When he started arching like this, he looked like a shrimp. It was usually time he was
Mhm.
quite tired, and and so what we did, we realized, okay, when you're tired, you make poor decisions, right? When you usually get tired after 90 minutes of just sitting. Okay, let's introduce a protocol where at 90 minutes, you get up, go for a stretch, go for a quick break, come back. So these are the sorts of things. That's why it's important to log your decisions.
Mhm.
If you don't have a coach, that's fine. You can just record yourself, review that footage, and I think
Mhm.
that this starts giving you a clear picture of what discipline looks like, what consistency looks like, what's an A+ day, and
Mhm.
that gives you start building these you start giving yourself these commitments, and gradually you start getting better and better and better. This is how you start to begin to really lay the foundations for discipline and consistency in trading.
Okay. Wow. That was great.
That was a mouthful, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was great though. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, fear. So someone said that they start to look for reasons a trade will fail, and then the fear makes them exit. Later, it goes to the target. How do they fix that? Another person said something very similar, saying, I always exit manually before my stop loss. Techniques to reduce fear of losing.
Okay, so it's yeah, yeah, the so they fear, so techniques to reduce fear, and it's usually related to the stop loss. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now this is very problematic, because if you fear losing and then you're overriding your edge by shifting your stop loss, then you're not allowing your edge to play out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's you're going to lose twice, because you're going to lose the trade most likely, and then you're going to put yourself into mental drawdown because you're going to regret it later. So now your trading account's in drawdown, and you're mentally draw down, and then you're going to kick yourself about it. So this is something that it's very important to understand the root cause of this fear, and and understand where it comes from, as in how often it comes in, because that way we can understand what triggers that fear at what moments of the day when price does this. Okay, now we've identified and really mapped out exactly when it happens. So it's important to understand that, but it's also important to understand risk. Okay, risk is part of the trifecta of trading. You have your strategy, you have your mental edge, and you have your risk management system. And so by understanding your risk, and that means you need to understand your data. And that means you have to have a verified data, both back tested, live tested, and that gives you an indication of how you should manage your risk.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a funded trader, then you need to adjust and adapt your risk management to the rules of the prop firm. And then you need to stick to it, because that trifecta, your strategy, your psychology, and your risk management, without those three working together, then you're just going to go around in circles. Yeah, and so it's really, when it comes to reducing fear, what it comes down to
Mm-hmm.
data dependence. You have to depend on the data of your edge, and then you gradually, when you start systemizing your decisions based on your data, you
Mm-hmm.
begin to desensitize towards losing. And so then you trust that stop loss more. You trust your edge, you trust yourself, you trust your risk management. And this is quite liberating when you just almost like you let go of the control of the outcome. It's very liberating. You probably know the feeling when
Mm-hmm.
you just don't care whether you win or lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very liberating that you could actually relax, truly relax all in a trade when
Mm,
you're not so heavily invested in what happens in just that one outcome.
yeah.
Okay, I found this question super interesting. Someone asked, "How can I manage trading with ADHD?"
Okay, I've worked with a few traders with ADHD, and actually, one of my clients with ADHD, he became one of my most successful clients, and
Hmm.
he then he's got 17 years experience as a behavioral analyst, and he's just always had a passion for working with people, um, children, adults in the autistic spectrum. But he has ADHD. So when he started working with me, he even though he was a behavioral expert, and I think you met him in Miami, his name's Marcus. He
Mm-hmm.
struggled because he was like, I just end up completely blowing weeks of profit in just one day because I just can't let go. So what I've understood about ADHD is that it's actually a superpower if you know how to harness its power. And it's very important for someone with ADHD as a trader to have a very structured process. And so what I do with Marcus, what worked for him really, really well, is literally have checklists that are streamlined so that he's able to step by step understand what he needs to do before, what decisions he needs to make, and over time it became automated. And and this was uh this is these kind of systems and organized approach for someone with ADHD is powerful because they are so good at sticking to systems and just following that one system. As long as they know they have confidence in it, it's data driven. And it's also important that they have if you have ADHD, it's important to introduce breaks. That's one thing that I got Marcus to do and was a game changer. And it was literally a 15-minute walk. And so for him, setting these short but deliberate breaks in between sessions, it really helps with um, breaking up those sprints of focus because you you don't want to overwhelm yourself too much with the amount of
Mm-hmm.
decisions. And whether you have ADHD or not, this actually works for everybody to have these deliberate breaks where you switch off from the markets, you don't take your phone with you, there's no social media, and you just walk. You breathe, you don't listen to anything. You want to just go for a quick dopamine um,
Reset.
detox and a
Yeah.
reset. Yeah, exactly. Because when you come back, and the thing is, with if someone with ADHD, what I've realized is that they enjoy trading. When you enjoy something, they really get into it. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
hard to walk away. It's very hard to switch off. So you gotta be able to just reduce the amount of dopamine by going for that walk. So that's something that I would definitely recommend.
Okay. Yeah, I think that that's a great way to end this Q&A because you pretty much touched on a lot of different topics about
Hmm.
resetting your dopamine, breathing, trusting the trade, risk, make sure your risk is something you're okay with. And I actually really appreciate that you gave us some actual like real-time tips with the breathing and with the uh, little reminders, making things structured, and also like hands off the mouse. That's my favorite thing. That's the thing I'll say to myself when the going gets tough, like, and you really, really, really want to get back into a trade, make your money back, but your mind is like all over the place. Hands off the mouse and wait, you have to reset.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
really appreciate you coming here, Rodrigo. And where can people find you?
Yeah, I really appreciate the invitation and speaking to your audience. It's you're a great example of someone that has detached from the outcome and
I try.
so much that you can just live stream to thousands of people, which is
I
insane.
try. Yeah. So
But
we put
when
Rodrigo's links in the description, and
mhm.
where can they find you on Instagram and YouTube?
I'm on Instagram. Yeah, you can find me on YouTube as well. I've started a new YouTube channel, so it'd be great to get some love there. And I'm also
Oh,
on X. So
okay.
I'll. But usually, it's your best if you want to reach out to me. You can just DM me on Instagram. I'm quite active on
Okay.
there.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, everyone check him out. His links are in the description. And thanks for coming. Now that's a great, I think, way to start off NFP. And yeah, check him out, everybody. Thank you, Rodrigo. And we'll talk later. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for that segment. I really loved what he had to say there. He had a lot of different tips. I think a lot of actionable tips. So let's go ahead and share my screen here. Oop, there we go. There we go. What we got here? Let's go. It is 9:20. And let's put the little poll up in the chat, yeah? NFP 920. Put up the poll in the chat, right? Okay. You guys bearish, bullish, or neutral today? Sometimes on NFP with 10 a.m. news, we don't. We have Powell speaking at 12:30. That's gross. Ew. Start poll. We have like abnormal wick here. Okay. So you guys are saying that the quality is no good. So let's put a little poll in the chat, because the thing for me to have a guest on, he I had to put it to 720 because he was not like tied to Ethernet. So for that to go smoothly, I had to put it down to 720. So do you guys want me to like restart another stream so that it's at 1080? Let me know. I'll put in a little poll real quick and we can just easily. If like 70% say yes, start a new stream, then I'll do it. Anything for you guys. I'll give it like 10 seconds, 20, 30 seconds. So democratic here, people say. Let's see. What do you think, Castillo? Send me a message because he sees everything better than my mod. All right. All right. We're going to restart then. So just go onto my YouTube and you'll see the new one. We're going to end the stream and restart.